Thank you, Bill. It's always great to be back to Christchurch, where we've had many memorable events. We've recounted those in past talks, so I won't go into it again, but one day a fella came across the street from Cincinnati Gas and Electric while we were holding the Zimmer hearings, and he stood up. He was an amiable kind of a guy, and he said, well, Dave, we all know what Jane Fonda's links are to North Vietnam, but what are your links to communism? And I thought, boy, what an antiquated thought, calling people socialists, communists. Sure glad that's out. So when Bill called me community organizer, actually that's not correct. I was the mayor of Wasilla. But I was going to say, I can't remember which one has more responsibility, so don't hold that against me. But actually, yeah, I was greatly influenced by, in the early days, and many of you do remember the Cincinnati experience, which actually went on for 15 years, long after I was practicing law. And I was very influenced by both writings and disagreements with Saul Alinsky, who is the person that trained ideas trained Barack Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton. They were both Alinsky trained in their career, as was Cesar Chavez, the great boycott and agricultural revolution. So anyway, what brings us here is a report back to you on the need for an environmental justice ordinance. And the problem is that for years and years in Cincinnati, for a variety of reasons, including disregard for the poorer people in our community, poorest and the poorer in our community, we have had a pattern of loading up communities that are on the, quote, metaphorical other side of the tracks with projects that tended to be the most polluting projects there were. Now, I had this riveted in my mind in 1972. At that point, my kids usually roll their eyes, but in 1972, when, as a member of the mayor's task force on the environment, one of the 5 leaders of that group, the Elda landfill, which wasn't called that then, came up, and they wanted to put a landfill around the housing projects in the Winton Hills, Winton Place, Winton Terrace area. As a matter of fact, within 2,000 feet of 2,000 people. And literally, you could take your hand out of some of those apartments and touch the landfill. That's how close it was to some of the molecules in that gas. They really can't help themselves. They go up and out, or through subsurface pathways into what's ever around them. In this case, housing projects. And one of the problems of the gas is that these molecules get together and they can explode. And that's obviously not a desirable outcome. So they outfitted these apartments with, in the laundry room, machinery that would detect explosive levels of gas. And then as 10 years went by, they found that they didn't have the money to keep those up, so they cannibalized some to make others work, these little monitors. And also, in the Elda landfill case, ultimately, after 20, 30 years of this, they got the instructions that don't operate these in a human environment. So we thought the laundry room might satisfy being a human environment. In other words, it was totally phony, the whole ring of protection, and we kept telling the health department over years, this is not good. And nobody spoke up, not the Ohio EPA, not anybody else. So in any event, people, the other thing these molecules do, when there are not enough of them to explode, they look for your lungs. They come in through your skin. They invade your body. They reside in your lung. When there is a threshold of them, they can trigger, depending on your heredity or genetic makeup, a disease process we call cancer. At the NIEHS, National Institute of Environmental Health Science, they have a saying for years, even under this president: environmental budget cuts inspire